Now, when somebody says the name Antonio Conte, what comes to mind? To some people, it's the man that built Juventus' dynasty, a man that won Scudetto after Scudetto after Scudetto. To some, it's the man that won the Scudetto with Inter in his first season at the club. For some Premier League fans, it's the Antonio Conte that won Chelsea the Premier League in his first season. For me, I'm a little bit childish. What comes to my mind is Antonio Conte versus Thomas Tuchel, reminding me of Santino Marella in WWE, the guy with the Cobra finisher. But listen, Antonio Conte is the manager of a team that, in my opinion, is the dark horse of the Serie A. And it's a team that sits 3 points behind Inter. And it's a team with a very, very, very favourable run towards the end of the Serie A campaign. A team that can easily go unbeaten from now up until the end of the season. A team that Antonio Conte can add to his resume and tell the world, I won the title in my first season once again. The dark horse, Napoli. So how did Antonio Conte become, in my opinion, the most wanted man in Naples? He became the most wanted man in Napoli because when you look left and right, there's turmoil in Calcio. Juventus have got their eyes on Antonio Conte. Milan have got their eyes on Antonio Conte. De Laurentiis, he's looking at Antonio Conte and telling himself, I've stumbled across a gem and I need to try my hardest. Everything that's possible within me to keep this manager at the club. So how? How did he become the most wanted man in Calcio? Now, in case anybody is unfamiliar with Antonio Conte, you're thinking, what is this dude talking about? Antonio Conte, the most wanted man in Calcio. Antonio Conte, the most wanted man in Naples. What is he talking about? No problem. I'm here to let you know. Antonio Conte, he took over a Juventus team that finished back-to-back 7th. A team that was sinking. A team that needed a direction. A team that needed somebody to lay the foundations for future success. Antonio Conte. And guess what he does? He does what best managers do. He wins the Serie A in his first season. But then they always say winning one Serie A is difficult. But then reinventing your team, keeping that fire in their belly and going back to back, it's a tough task. But Antonio Conte was like, listen, don't worry. Hold my cannoli and let's see the back to back to back. Winning 3 Serie A titles in a row. Let's not forget, in his first season, he was invincible. He didn't lose a single game. In his third season, he was invincible at home. They won 19 games at home, accumulating the most points. Then, after a few years, he went to arch rivals Inter. And guess what he done? Similar to Juventus, he laid down the foundations for Simone Inzaghi to take over. He won the Scudetto in his second season in the Serie A with Inter. He also had a little period at Chelsea. And guess what he done? He won the Premier League in his first season. This is a manager. When you think of Antonio Conte, you think of league titles. You think of league titles within a very short period of time. Why? He's a manager that knows how to translate his message to the players. He's a manager that knows how to keep fire in players' bellies. He's a manager that can develop and grow so many players. Like you look at somebody like Romelu Lukaku. Antonio Conte, Romelu Lukaku, it's a match made in heaven. Wherever he goes, he grabs the Belgian. Do you know why? Because the Belgian guarantees him one thing in return, goals. And what Antonio Conte gives Lukaku is that trust, is that arm across the shoulder. It's the setup that plays to the Belgian international strengths. Antonio Conte loves Lukaku, and Lukaku, he loves Antonio Conte. But now, he's at Napoli. And I feel like I said at the beginning, clubs across the Serie A, the common notion is they want a winner. That's one. They want somebody that understands the Serie A. 2, they want somebody with the tactical acumen, somebody with the respect, somebody with the aura. And you look at Antonio Conte, there's a reason why Milan are looking at him. There's a reason why Juventus want to go back and appoint him. There's a reason why De Laurentiis, he's looking in the mirror and telling himself, listen, this is an Antonio Conte that's shown me I'll sell your best player, but I'll still have you competing for the Serie A title. I'll lose some of my players to injury, but I'll still find a way to tweak this team and keep them in the Serie A title race. Napoli, 3 points behind Inter. But like I said, when you look at the remaining fixtures, when you look at the fact that they play once a week, when you look at who their manager is, he's a manager that's composed, he's calm, he's a manager that knows how to rally the troops, he knows how to rally the players, he knows how to rally the fans, and on top of everything, he is a man that's an icon of the Serie A. He is a man that knows the Serie A in and out. The fixtures, they are in Napoli's favour. 1 game a week. Inter, they still have the Coppa Italia. They still have the Champions League. It's going to be a crazy end to the Serie A campaign. But Antonio Conte, he is the most wanted man. Why? Because he's a man that's shown, when I take over, I have immediate impact. No 6 months, no 12 months. I have an impact from day one. And I'll find a way to roll the dice. I'll find a way to tweak things. You look at some of the players in his team this year. Romelu Lukaku, once again, shining. Neres, a player that was signed from Benfica, shining. You look at Anguissa, he's rolled back the years from the Spalletti Napoli years. You look at Billy Gilmour. You look at Scott McTominay, that was practically hounded out of Manchester United. And you look at the way he's developed and grown in his first season in Calcio. The way Antonio Conte's built this team, structured them in a way to play to every single one of his players' strengths. This is a manager that understands the football. He understands the tactics. He understands the man management. And listen, everybody loves an animated manager on the side. So the question is, what's next for Antonio Conte? Because I feel like whether he wins the Serie A or not, he is a manager in demand. And he is a manager that's going to be looking left and right and saying, Milan, they weren't interested in me in the summer. Zlatan Ibrahimovic's own words. We're looking for a coach, not a manager. Antonio Conte, he doesn't suit this Milan project. Boy, oh boy, is Zlatan Ibrahimovic biting his own words. There's some managers, they just win. They win no matter what. They have an impact on the team. Managers that players want to play for. They want to fight for. They want to give 120%. That is Antonio Conte. Antonio Conte and the Serie A, it's a match made in heaven. He is a manager you do not want to come up against. You do not want to come up against his teams. Why? Because a team on a football pitch represents their manager. If a manager is relatively passive, quiet, timid, don't be surprised if the team is passive, timid and quiet. But if a manager is animated, dynamic, full of fight, passionate, that's what you're going to see on the pitch. And that's exactly what you see from this Napoli team. You look at some of their games this season. Home, away, winning left, right and centre. Staying in the Serie A title race. So Antonio Conte, in the summer, his phone is going to be buzzing. Brrr, brrr. Everybody wants Antonio Conte. So I genuinely look at him and say, you are a man in power. Because I feel like he can turn around to De Laurentiis and say to him, listen, Milan, they've come back in for me. Juventus, they've come back in for me. You want to keep me. Are you going to get me the necessary reinforcements? Are you going to spend that Kvaratskhelia money and improve this squad? Or shall I leave? Are you going to give me the money that I want? The extension on my contract that I want? Because if not, I've got teams out there that are willing to bend their back for my services. So he's actually got so much leverage going into the summer. He's actually got so much power. He is a man in demands. And like I said, there's teams in the Serie A this season, based on their performances, they want immediate impact. They want immediate success. They want a manager that can come in. He has the aura. He has the automatic respect because of what he's done in the game and what he can continue to do in the modern game. And that is Antonio Conte. Nobody understands Calcio. Nobody understands the Serie A more than him. And he's shown, no matter where you put me, I will succeed. So will Juventus look at him and say, we are willing to pay that 20, 25, 30 million release clause at Napoli? Will Milan look at him and say, listen, we're ready to rectify our wrongs. We didn't appoint you last season, but we're looking to bring you back to the San Siro, but in a red and black top? Or will Napoli be like, listen, you've got the keys to the city. You are the most wanted man, and we're going to treat you like the most wanted man. You can have it all. Any signing you want? No problem. Contract extension? No problem. You are the man. So he's actually a man in so much power going into the summer. And for me, it's got me sitting down thinking wild things. If he wins the Serie A with Napoli this season, And when you look at that squad, it's a good squad. But for me, I wouldn't say it's the number one best squad in Serie A. I probably wouldn't even say it's the second best squad in the Serie A. I could really make a case it's not even the third best squad in the Serie A. But if this is a manager that wins it in his first season with Napoli, won it 3 years in a row with Juventus, won it in his second season with Inter, does he become the best Serie A manager for his ability to go left, right, different clubs, different eras of football and still win? That is my question to you guys. If Antonio Conte wins the Serie A with Napoli this season, does he become the best manager in Serie A history? Make sure to let me know. Now, if you're new, make sure to subscribe. Make sure to hit the like button. And I will catch you guys on another one.